Auburn's freshmen continue to fight for reps throughout spring practice.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It's a Charlie Tuesday. To all who celebrate, we're joined by Auburn message board legend, the Charlie 5, also known as Kyle Rush. He's the boss man over at the barn, auburn.com. And we'll talk about Tahaad officially declaring for the draft while maintaining his eligibility and what that could potentially mean. But
had an interesting quote in there. Had a good quote in there, too.
Yeah, he did. He did. So, yeah, we'll touch on that later in the show. But, pretty much everybody you talk to throughout the football program, this freshman class is continuing to make strides, to make noise, to make a splash. And I think there are going to be upperclassmen that may lose some reps this season because of how some of these freshmen are playing. So, Kyle, I'll open the floor to you. A freshman or just a guy that maybe isn't seen as a starter that may be winning reps based on their performance throughout spring.
The one name that comes to my mind that anytime you talk about the defense and the defensive back room is Blake Woodby. Blake Woodby seems to be so far ahead of where he was expected to be. And his ranking was really kind of all over the place. Like he was super high on some sites, and then
ESPN was he was a 5-star on ESPN, and then he was all over the place everywhere.
Maybe like a 3-star on 3 or something like that. Regardless, somebody had an eye for this guy, and he's kind of proven them correct because he's coming in, he's getting a bunch of reps. Not only, we kind of thought maybe he would just be, maybe move in there and be like a nickel to start off with. He's getting good reps at outside corner as well. He's a little bit, he's not as long, but he's every bit as physical, quick. You see him jarring balls loose after the catch. Like fundamentally, he just does not look like a freshman. I hear a ton about Blake Woodby, and he excites me.
Yeah, Woodby's footing when it comes to playing time is interesting, though, right? Because, if you listen to the show, I love Jay Crawford and Kayan Lee.
100%. I
love Blake Woodby as well and what he represents as far as upside and just hitting the ground running. They went out and got Ryan Strader, who, if you look at analytics, they love him because he was a pass breakup machine at his previous stop. And then also, let's don't forget about Champ Anthony, who was incredible before his injury. It's a loaded room. When you look at outside corner at Auburn, quietly, one of the deepest positions on this team, in my opinion.
Maybe the deepest.
You can make an argument.
I talked about it possibly being one of the better position groups, maybe even in the conference. It is very, very deep. And that just speaks even more to Blake Woodby and him coming and making enough of an impression to where his name is circulating, and he's getting reps against ones, he's getting really, really good. He's having a great spring. All you could ask for.
It's all you can ask for. Absolutely. A freshman that keeps coming up anytime I have a conversation with somebody, and now you're starting to see Auburn's social media post highlights of him, is Sam Turner.
Sam Turner, man.
A guy who kind of flew under the radar and was a 3-star guy. And as soon as he announced that he was coming to Big Cat last year, he was on the visitor list and people started watching his tape. And it's like, what? This guy is awesome. He was committed to Georgia Tech at the time. And I guess a similar situation at corner. You look at all the receivers in the room and all the receivers that are ahead of them and a lot of these guys going into their second season. It's like, okay, maybe Sam Turner's the guy down the road, like when Horatio Fields and Eric Singleton are done, and then it's you're the freeze 4, and then some of these other guys that come behind him. Sam Turner isn't interested in that, I don't think. I think he wants to prove that he can play early at Auburn, and the fact that the program seems to be hyping him up on socials, which is, I don't know, sometimes I feel like it matters, sometimes I feel like it doesn't. But everybody you talk to, it's like Sam Turner. And we heard his name a bunch before spring when it was a bunch of team-led stuff. I'm like, hey, Sam Turner's I'm being told Sam Turner's the guy to watch. And then it seems like he's delivering.
Carrying over.
Yeah, which is a big part of it.
How good does he look physically? It's incredible that kid is a true freshman. And not only a true freshman, he's an early enrollee.
Who's kind of like he was kind of labeled as like a speedy guy too, and like physically, like he looks like thicker than I think
Horatio Fields is a big guy. Okay,
huge.
He's 6'2", 6'3", and he's probably close to 220. And there was a video with him and Sam Turner standing close to one another, and he's not much smaller than Horatio Fields right now. As a I don't know if he's 17 or 18. He should still be in high school. He looks the part, and I'm like you. As soon as his name, sometimes you do this, though. You see a guy and you go try to make yourself fall in love with his film. You know what I mean? Kind of maybe hype him up a little bit over maybe what he actually is. Sam Turner's film is that good. Like he was that good, and you're like, daggum, like what have we stumbled upon? Like this kid can play, and sure enough, he comes in and he's sort of the talk of the town of that freshman class.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to learn this, are we still calling it 8A, like whatever's happening on Saturday? Like, I don't think we're going to learn what the rotation looks like.
No.
But the reps, the market share between Horatio Fields, Perry Thompson, and Sam Turner, impossible to predict right now.
Yeah, that's the storyline. I mean, that's to me the most important storyline out of that wide receiver room, maybe of the spring. I mean,
because the top three, right? Like Cam, Singleton, Malcolm Simmons, like those are your three. But then, like who gets the reps after that?
I don't know. Hey, you remember the defensive end from South Carolina that got a 15-yard penalty for unloading the clip after a sack? You remember that this past season? Yeah. I wonder if you still get one if you unload the clip on the ball spinning in the end zone, because that was a good end zone dance that Malcolm had when he dusted. Who was it that he dusted? I can't remember which DB he burnt, but those top three wide receivers, holy cow, man! That's what I've been saying. I think Auburn's going to put the ball in the air quite a bit this year.
I think they're going to have to.
Yeah,
I think they're going to have to. And I know there are opinions all over the place about this running back room. I certainly don't think the running back room is bad, but I mean, no disrespect to Damari or Jeremiah, but like I'd rather a target go to Cam Coleman or Eric Singleton right now, based off of like just the roster construction and what we're hearing and seeing. That's just, I don't know. This is how I'm looking at it.
Just let it be a part of the run game almost. Like just get the ball in space. Like we were just talking before we got on. Mm-hmm. I had been told over the scrimmage over Saturday, Perry Thompson got, a quick pass, broke a tackle, and had a big stiff arm for a big gain. Like that's nothing more than a run play. And I think he actually posted some images of it on his Instagram. I mean,
which those pictures look like that could have been that
exact play
you were talking about.
Exact play. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. That's what you have to do with this offense and the way this thing's built. And there's no reason why, you have that has to be a carry to a running back. Like you don't have to have 20 carries. I think you could do, I think we could pitch it out, get it out quick to some of these guys and make some plays after the catch.
Yeah. And that's something that I was pretty critical of at times last year, where it's like, you've got all these pass catchers, like just get them the ball and go, especially when there were questions on like, consistency with Thorne or with the play calling or with pass protection. Tom Brady would call them drive starters when he was with the Patriots, where you just get it and you get the snap and you throw it to Wes Welker or Julian Edelman or Troy Brown behind the line of scrimmage. Like you've got the guys to do that. Like I don't care what kind of coverage they're in, as long as they're not pressing you on the line. Give it to Malcolm Simmons. Give it to Eric Singleton. Give it to Perry behind the line. Like you're telling me they're not going to consistently get you 4 or 5 yards, especially on
4 yards
down?
Is a win. 4 yards. Bo Wallace said, "Hey, when I went out there as a quarterback for Hugh, I'm trying to get 4 yards. 4 yards is a win."
Yep. And I just like the odds, especially if you can get one-on-one situations, whether it's in the slot or on the outside. They're backed up off the line of scrimmage because they got to respect, that Cam and Eric can just burn you deep. I'm with you. Other freshmen fighting for reps. There's an interesting situation at another position that we haven't talked about much today, and I want to get your thoughts on it. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Kyle, can you imagine? Can you imagine buying tickets anywhere other than with our friends at Game Time?
Cannot do it. I won't do it.
Won't do it. There's nothing like the energy of a live game. So whether it's catching last-minute tickets for an MLB game or an NBA matchup, Finding great seats at a great price. It used to be a challenge. It's not anymore, thanks to Game Time. Look, you're going to these games. It shouldn't be stressful, Kyle. It should be fun. You should enjoy Yes, you should enjoy every aspect of it. And Game Time helps you do that. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply again. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Hearing a lot of great things about Alvin Henderson and the running back room. Now, the situation is interesting because I can't tell, and it varies based on the people that I talk to of why that is. Some people say Alvin's cooking. He's ready for the SEC day one. And other folks are saying, no disrespect to Alvin, he's doing everything he can with his reps, but other guys are limited. And so, like, I don't really know how much that means. So it kind of depends on who you talk to as far as what exactly that means, I guess, for the running back room.
I would love to know who's limited. Damari is. I mean, are we just talking about Darrell Robinson being out, or some other guys maybe dinged up a little bit?
Yeah, I got the impression, like, we know the Darrell has been limited, and then like it does sound like maybe the other guys might be banged up a little bit, not like in season banged up, but like not worth playing through spring banged up is the impression I've gotten.
Here's one. Yeah, sure. Here's one thing I like about Alvin, and I think this could be a reason why maybe he's excelling early. When you're a freshman, your head is sort of spinning. And Alvin's game, though, is not very complicated. He's very quick, one decision, one cut, and go. And that's the way he's always been. So his natural game is like perfect for being able to pick up an offense or pick up what you got to do quick. It's just decision make. It's a quick decision making aspect, and that's what he does well. That's what he's always done well. I've never really expected him to be a guy that can go 80, but I think he's the guy that can get you 4 yards. We were just talking about it just a second ago. Mm-hmm. He seems to be that perfect back to where it's like one cut, boom, get what I can get. And that's what you need. And I can see how that's sort of put him sort of ahead of the game a little bit as far as a freshman running back.
I could see him being like a Cameron Artis-Payne for us.
Sure.
Like not a burner, but super reliable, super physical, super durable, and a guy you can just count on. That wouldn't shock me. Now, I do think that you're going to rotate more than Cap did in Malzahn's offense that year. But I
was thinking, I've always thought a little bit more like maybe Peyton Barber, but maybe not quite as big, but like a Peyton Barber, because Peyton didn't have a lot of wiggle. Peyton didn't have a lot of just blow you away with speed. But he could put 1 foot in the ground and get 3 or 4 yards, and he did that. I
hope Alvin's O-line is better than Peyton's was.
Oh man, I think it will be, but I'm with you.
Peyton Barber hung out in the NFL for several contracts. It's crazy.
Yeah. He was way under. I mean, he just came at a bad time. He was a good back.
He was a good back. No kidding. And then, I don't know, so many of these other positions, like offensive line, I kind of think we know what we got. There are guys that are out. And it's okay. I don't know how much information we're going to get this spring from that. But a guy that I talked to over the weekend, it sounds like Bobby Jamison-Travis has taken a step forward, which is what Auburn needs. I mean, I've been pretty critical of they need more defensive linemen, but if they don't go that route or don't get the quality that they want in the spring window, I think Bobby Jamison-Travis is an important aspect of this. And we saw him come on towards the end of last season. He kind of solidified that nose position. Sounds like he's doing that even more so in spring based off of a conversation I had. I guess this would have been post-scrimmage on Saturday.
When I saw the updated height and weight chart of him and Malik Blockton, a lot of my fears about the interior of the defensive line, I don't want to say have completely subsided, but I felt a lot more comfortable with the fact that he completely reshaped his body. And to what you said, he really played some good snaps especially towards the end of the year last year, right there in the middle. And then obviously you got Malik as well. I haven't heard a lot about him this spring, but I'm with you.
Malik or Bobby?
I haven't heard much from Malik, but I'm with you. The Bobby's got a lot of praise.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of it with Malik is like, I just kind of wonder if like that's who he is at this point. Like we know that he's good. We know that he was ahead of the curve. So, because we heard about him last year, right? We were like, hey, this guy's not going anywhere. Like he's going to get on the field. So maybe it's just because it's expected. Like it wouldn't shock me if he's that level of player this early in his career that it's just expected he's good. I'm with you on especially like all the praise that Bobby, Jamison, Travis has gotten. But with those two guys, like I'm fine with the starters up front.
Yeah.
But if you told me one of those guys was out and they miss 4 games, I'm all of a sudden super concerned.
Sure. Yeah, there's the work to do. There's work to do in the portal. You still need another guy on the interior. I do love Jordan Crawford and I do love Malik Autry, but it's a lot. It's a tall ask. That's a lot to ask of those guys.
Yeah, we can't assume that a freshman is going to be like Malik Blockton every year. I think at least one of the 4 defensive line freshmen will do that. That's just a lot to assume. So, I mean, I still am in the camp of they need more bodies on the defensive line.
I'm with you. Another freshman, 2 freshmen to talk about really quick. Fagan's having a great spring. I think he's getting some 1 reps at the I think free safety, and then Winters is having a good spring, but he's so big. It's like they haven't 100%. I don't think they have 100% figured out how they're gonna utilize him yet. He's playing. He's doing a little bit of everything. I think they just haven't quite figured out 100% where the best fit for him is going to go. But there's no doubt on Fagans. He's having a big spring.
Are you hearing that Fagans is next to Sylvester Smith? Or are they competing?
Okay. As far as competing, yes.
They're the same spot?
Same spot, yes. That's what I've heard. Because Caleb Harris is going to be on the other side.
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense. Wow. This defensive back room, man.
I'm telling you,
it's so good.
When you really go position, player by player, position by position, so many options.
Yeah. Just hope that they can generate pressure to help them. I think they can. I think they will. I think Kieran takes a step forward that we saw J-Mac take last year. I really like Chris Murray. Obviously, Keldrick and Amaris. High expectations for them, but you can have the best defensive back room in the world. If you don't get pressure, it doesn't matter. So
that's a very good point.
We'll see what happens there. All right. So let us know who you're most excited to see this Saturday with the open practice / scrimmage, whatever this new version of A-Day is. And I'm still looking forward to it. It's still football at Jordan Hare Stadium.
See it,
100%. All right. Tahaad Pettiford declares for the NBA draft. He's not signing an agent. He's still eligible to return. What does that mean? What should we expect? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Tahaad Pettiford, interesting comments when they got back to Neville, when fans welcomed them back, and he said, he hopes to return next year for Auburn. Then he declares for the draft. And then he does the weird damage control thing that you pointed out on our live stream Sunday night, where he was clarifying, when people misquoting him or whatever. But he does declare, which isn't surprising. And now, to me, I think it just depends on what kind of feedback he gets. And I kind of think he's going to get differing opinions, Kyle.
For sure. I'm just looking at some of the top, prospects in the mock drafts on NBA DraftNet and ESPN and whatnot. And it looks like currently he's at the very back half of the first round, which is not terrible, but also, it's great if you're mocking, late first round. He's the smallest guy in the draft so far. He's the smallest guy that's being mocked in the first round. That is something that I think NBA GMs they're going to have to see in person. They're going to have to see it in person. And that's why I think he very well could have an unbelievable combine and jump up to sort of the middle of the first round. Yeah. And if that's the case, it's going to be tough for him to be able to justify coming back. But this is not a shock. This is something that he was always going to do. The quote that he said, though, in the story, if I come back to college, it's going to be Auburn.
Right.
I'm going to come play for Bruce Pearl. That's his words. And that is not misquoting him and leaving out some key things. He said, if I come back to college, I'm going to be at Auburn. And I think that's ultimately, I still think he comes back because I think he's just got a little bit more to work on, get a little bit better, and he's going to make really good money. And I don't think he's going to get much higher than where he's currently at, like the back half of the back end of the first round. And I think he's better than that. I think he could be.
Yeah, I do think he can be better than that. I don't think he is right now. If you're I've been talking to NBA draft folks this morning. I'm going to have one of them on the show hopefully this week to talk about Tahaad. But I do think I think how folks translate their game from college to pro and football is different than in the NBA. Like size is such a big deal because I don't think people realize the difference between a good college basketball player and a bad NBA player. Like that, the chasm is very, very wide.
For sure.
And some of the traits, like you can't get around. And so if you're Tahaad, like you mentioned, he's the smallest prospect that's going in the first round. You've got to prove that you can consistently score, not turn the ball over, and you've got to prove that you're not a liability defensively at an NBA level, not a college level, but at an NBA level. And like this is a guy who would be guarding like a Steph Curry or a guy who would be guarding any of these tremendous point guards that are in the NBA. And I don't know if Tahaad could do that right now. I don't know.
Not even just in the NBA, just in this draft. I mean, you're talking about point guards that are, 6'5", 6'6", Trey Johnson,
it's a lot.
Jeremiah Fears.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about some guys, Boogie Flan. Now, Boogie Flan's only like 6'2", but still, like you're talking about the elite of the elite here at point guard.
He's not Flan though. Like that's awesome. That's a great name.
That's a first round name. I'll tell you that right now.
100%. That's selling jerseys for sure.
Boogie. His last name needs to be Boogie though.
Yeah.
It needs to be Flan Boogie.
He should just go by Boogie. Like that's just
single name like Eminem, just Boogie.
Boogie. Yep. Prince.
We'd love him.
Boogie.
We'd love him because you got the whole Boog tie-in, but yeah, he's got some work to do, and
right.
Just the traits, the physical traits that he has are going to limit him. But it's good that he's going to go through the process. Not a surprise. I would be willing to bet he's back at Auburn next year.
I think that's the most likely option is that he returns, but he has a great combo. I mean, it only takes one or two teams to say, hey, if you're there at 17 or whatever, we're taking you. It only takes one team to do that. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll certainly see, but I agree with you. I think the most likely scenario is that Tahaad Pettiford is Auburn's starting point guard next year.
Just think about Mark Sears, okay? Mark Sears was probably one of the best point guards in college basketball last year. Like, he's unbelievable scorer, has the ability to get to the line. I mean, he's mocked at, like, the last pick of the second round.
He's also age is a factor there, too.
I understand.
I mean, Tahaad's like 4 years younger than him, right?
I understand. But I mean, is it that big? Is it that big of a difference?
I think it is.
You think so?
I think as far as like how NBA deals, I think that's the big thing against Janai is how old, like he's 22.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a lot of like guys who've been in the league for like 3 years and Janai is older than them. Or Mark Sears is older than them, I
was just emphasizing your point that the difference between a great college player and a bad NBA player. I mean, that's a great college basketball player, and he's mocking towards the end of the second round.
Well, I mean, Kyle, it happens every year where like, we're so into college basketball, then college basketball ends and you get a hankering for watching sports. Like, I'm not a huge NBA guy, but I'll turn a game on and it's like, these guys
are unreal.
Like, all of them look like Superman.
Yeah.
Like these guys look like robots, like just absolute
avatars.
Stuff. It's like, this is a different sport with how big they are. And like, there's a video of, I forgot who it was, but it was one of the, I assume he played for the Sixers because he was with Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And like they looked like high school athletes compared to whoever the NBA player was. And it's just a different world. It's just a different world. So like the traits have to be there. And I don't, but the other aspect of it is like, is Tahaad's hype ever going to be higher than it is right now?
That's a good point too.
And that was kind of our discussion when Jared Harper left after the Final Four run, where it's like, I don't think he's going to, and then, he floated around the G League for a while. He still may be in the G League, but it's like, well, his hype's never going to be higher. Like him coming back doesn't do anything, much like if Tahaad comes back to Auburn, like he's not going to grow another 3 inches. He might, become a better shooter and put more film up and be a better defender. Does that trade-off happen? That's going to happen. And the NBA knows that they believe if they draft him, they could make his shot percentage better and his defense better than if he went back to Auburn. And so like all that's calculated in like how they evaluate him. So it's just tricky. It only takes 1 or 2 teams to love you for him to say, yes, this is worth it for me to go to the draft.
I will say though, if he does come back, talking about hype, there's going to be a hype train around him if he does come back. They talked about him every time he would go into the game, come off the bench as the 6th man. They're talking about him. They're oohing and ahhing over his athletic ability.
You talk about aura, like
his
Tahad
aura.
has it.
Yeah, that's what the kids call the aura. Yeah. He would definitely get I think this may be an exception to where his hype could get even higher should he come back.
I'm not going to push back on that at all. Not going to push back on that at all because he'd be a starter. He'd be a starter. I mean, can you draft a point guard in the first round that wasn't a starter? And I'm sure it happens from time to time with loaded rosters, your Dukes and your Kentuckys and all that throughout time. Once again, not a huge NBA guy, but I don't know. There's aspects to this that it's not just like a black and white situation. So we'll see. We will see what happens with Tahad. But just to be clear, Kyle and I, if we had to guess, he will be at Auburn next year. That is our prediction as it sits right now. Kyle, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
Absolutely. Go to thebarnauburn.com. You can catch me there. Subscribe, take $25 off your annual membership. You go to the Barn Auburn YouTube page where we have content dropping left and right. Hit that alert bell over there and just be ready because it's coming.
Yep. Kyle's show is daily over there. I do Village Vice with Brad Law 3 times a week. And then we also have the best Auburn baseball show led by Lindsay and Brad and Sunny D. And then, of course, we do our Sunday night lives over at the Barn Auburn on YouTube as well. So be sure to subscribe over there for more Auburn content. Please like the video. Please subscribe here if you haven't already. And if you're tuning in on audio, please subscribe however you're tuning in, whichever app is your favorite, and leave us a review. It helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.